92.5.
Well, Jim, we're going to talk about the movie We Are What We Are. First of all, we hear you're from Pennsylvania, and not far from here.
I am. I'm from Pottstown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, get out.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
It's funny because we were reading and it says outside of Reading, and we were like, outside Reading. What could that be? So, yeah, Pottstown.
Yeah, well, most people don't know when you say that area. They're like, you say central Pennsylvania, and they're like, okay.
Yeah,
I was in Pittsburgh once.
It just adds to, like, the,
creepiness.
The creep. Well, I was going to say that, but then I thought it sounded
Pottstown's
rude.
a
I
nice
didn't want it
town.
to sound rude, but after watching the trailer for this movie, I'm weirded out. I'm nervous about having you here.
That's funny.
Talk to us about We Are What We Are.
Well, We Are What We Are is it's a remake, first of all, of a Mexican film from 2010.
So this isn't your idea. This was someone else's creepy idea.
We kind of took his idea and basically took the opening scene and then ran in a completely different direction. So it's kind of like, I'm not a big fan of remakes, and especially remakes that just kind of do the same thing or just translate it into English. So we went out of our way to make a very different movie. So we flipped all the genders of our story. We set it in a completely new place. We created new subplots and.
Yeah, it says Delaware County. Where is it supposed to take place? Around
No,
here?
it's actually that's a misprint. It's near the Delaware River, actually, in New York, and somebody missed that. No, we shot in upstate New York. My last film we shot in my dad's backyard in Douglasville, and half of it was there, half of it was in upstate New York, and we sort of loved that shooting in that area, so we went back and shot this whole film there. But the basic idea is a family of cannibals, a family that has a long tradition of cannibalism, and
nice.
The film opens with somebody from the family dying, and it's sort of a family trying to pick up the pieces. So even though it's a quote unquote cannibal movie, it's much more of a family melodrama that happens to have this very dark.
He said pick up the pieces when he was talking about this.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a horror fan, you'll probably like it, and if you're not a horror fan, you'll probably like it also.
Okay, yeah, because it was creepy, really dark, and kind of like just watching the trailer. That's how I felt like. Yeah,
You're too normal looking and clean cut to be like we're not what you'd expect.
It's funny. That's what horror guys are. You go to these. There's a lot of festivals, especially in Europe, of horror films and fantasy festivals, and you go and you see these movies that are movies that even I watch, and I'm like, God, what's wrong with you? And you meet everybody, and they're like, hey, you want to go to the beach? And they're like the sweetest, nicest, most polite, charming people. And then it's the people that make romantic comedies that are really disturbed.
The creepy people. What's next for you after this movie?
I just wrapped a film over the summer, a film called Cold in July. It's an 80s, it's not a horror film, it's an 80s thriller. It's kind of inspired by Blood Simple and No Country for Old Men and that sort of backwoods film noir. It stars Michael C. Hall, who just finished Dexter last night. Right. Mm-hmm. And Sam Shepard and Don Johnson from Miami Vice.
Wow.
Brought him back for some 80s love. Yeah, it's very different. It's much, we did this movie, and it was a movie that's very melancholy, and it's a like you said, it's a creepy, get under your skin movie. And then we said, we just want to pop out and just do something that's just fun, kind of from start to finish. And so,
who's really good to work with, and then who do you not want to work with?
I don't know who I don't want to work with. Michael was great because he had just wrapped Dexter, and he had a week off, and he moved his house, and he had jury duty, and then he
oh my gosh,
yeah. So he had I don't know how he played a character for 8 years, and then basically had 2 days off and flew to New York,
right.
and we put a mullet on him. It takes place in the 80s, so we gave him a mullet and a really bad mustache, and he was just like, yes, bring it on.
That's so funny.
I played Dexter for so long, let me do something different. But that was really great because that was, I think he's one of the greatest actors on the planet, and getting him after that, I think, was getting, like an athlete in their top physical shape. It was amazing, just that every acting muscle in him was fine-tuned, and
now he was in really 6 Feet Under,
yeah,
right? And then that's where I knew him from, and then Dexter. So he's doing all these weird things, and now working with you. But you said this movie isn't going to be that, or is it?
No, it's got some weird stuff to it, but more just in that kind of Coen Brothers sort of feel of that's kind of just a weird. It's there's elements of comedy, there's elements of horror, it's thriller, it's all over the place. He was great. Don Johnson really blew my mind. Of people think of him, I think, as he's Don Johnson,
right?
But he really, I was really impressed. He was really. He understands the process so well. He'd be in the middle of a shot. We'd call cut, and he'd come over and say, "I know you're going to cut from here to here, so I'm going to give you an extra couple beats in here because I know you want to." Just like, wow, man. That's something that's something that you never. And his ideas were great. And if you said, "No, I'm actually thinking of doing it this way," you go, "That's a great idea." You know what? So instead, I'll do this. So it blew my mind.
How old is he now? Don Johnson.
62. And we had him doing action scenes, and he would come up and we would say, okay, we're going to have a stunt guy come in, and he'd watch what the stunt guy did for a little bit. And he's like, you know what? You really only need him for that little move there. I can do the rest. And he would come in and throw his body. And,
oh, my gosh.
And, he threw his body into a wall. He was ducking a bat being swung and smashing into a wall, and he'd fall down, he'd crawl backwards. And I was just like, that would hurt me if I did that. So, yeah, he was really impressive. There's nobody that I don't want to work with. You know who else is great? Kelly McGillis, who was in this movie and also in Stakeland. She lived in Collinswood for.
We were just talking about her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's in Asheville, North Carolina now. She moved, but she's kind of great. She's had a crazy life and ups and downs, and where we find her now sort of is the spot where she's just incapable of lying as an actress or as a human being, and it's kind of refreshing to be around somebody that's just completely honest with everything she says. Yeah, she's great. Nobody that I don't want to work with, or I wish I had some good dirt on somebody that was horrible, but I don't.
Well, after that happens, you definitely come back and talk to us. Let us know. 'Cause you know what's going to happen one day.
Yeah, it's going to happen, and they're like, you know what, Rachel, come back.
So we are what we are. Where can people see it?
October 11th at the Ritz at the Bourse. Is that right? Yes, October 11th. And I hope people see it. It kind of goes with the, I like to think of it as like the organic local food alternative to McDonald's and that fast food bar chain I talked about earlier. So, the more people support it, the more they get made, the more people work on them, and the less bad movies there are out there.
Good. Jim, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.